Hello, this is the first video on this channel, Unfashionably Late, because as you can see, this this video is so late that it's unfashionably late. You can just call me Lercy, and this is how we're going to be doing it. I think I'm going to get into it. I think I'll probably improve with these introductions a lot later, but I think we can just get this started. So my Group A predictions. I came up with these predictions a couple weeks before the World Cup. Um, things have changed. Things have changed, but nothing has changed too much, and that's kind of okay. But I think the big picture, let's see for Group A, is that I've always thought that Mexico was going to win this group. Mexico is going to win this group, go undefeated, 7 points. I still think it's gonna be 7 points. I think they're going to get a draw against South Africa. I Between South Korea and the Czechs, I think they're probably going to get a draw against the Czechs. I think they might scumbag a win against South Korea. Um, hopefully, they draw, and the Czechs and South Africa draw, and then they both lose. South Mexico and South Korea in the last day, so we can get some real fun goal difference out of that, like Euro 24 in that Ukraine group. But to go on further, I guess for posterity, nothing's really changed too much. I think I'm still directionally correct. Another group that I still think I am quite directionally correct is Group B. Now, this was before I did not think this was going to happen with. Let me try to get this better. Wrong one. Let's move this to the side. Zoom in. Then you have the other one. You move this to the side. Zoom in. There we go. Yeah, I think, man, that Switzerland Qatar game was rough. It was real rough. It was really annoying, and I'm very happy that Qatar, you know, stole that draw. I'm very happy. I'm very angry at Switzerland for doing what they did, and nothing could come better than what they did against Qatar. Like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Like, thank you to Qatar. Maybe though, but I think because of that draw, Switzerland will wake up, and I think things are pretty much going to go the same. Qatar's going to lose his next two games. Switzerland's going to wake up, take out Bosnia, take out, dispatch Canada, and nothing will change too much. I really truly think this result may have been good. And a lot of people have been talking about, oh my gosh, look how Argentina lost their first group game. Look how Spain lost their first group game. And everyone's like, well, yeah. How many teams though lose their first games and then get eliminated in the group, and they get grouped? This is like a lot more than those two. So I think this has nothing to do with that yet. But I think for poor result, I think this is a terrible result for Switzerland. But I think you know it can get better. I think it will get better because of this. Let's go to Group C. Now, this group is an interesting one because I think that maybe Brazil is going to lose this group. Now, I think Morocco might win it. I have Brazil and Morocco drawing 2-2. Nothing has changed. Scotland beating Haiti 2-0 both times, both versions. Nothing has changed. I think Scotland and Morocco might get a draw. Probably not anymore. The Haitians kind of put the pause on the Brazilians, on the Scots. So I think maybe Morocco might get this victory. I have Brazil crushing Haiti 4-0 both times. I think if Endrick starts, yes. If he doesn't, this could be. Watch out for this. I think this could be a draw. And Brazil might walk out of this group with 3 points, all draws. And that would be something. But I don't think so. I think they're going to beat probably the Scots. And I think Morocco is going to dispatch Haiti. Nothing has changed. Back. Oops. Let's see. And then you have Group D. Group D. This one, things have changed. Not necessarily totally about the results, even though one has changed. But, okay. I think Turkey might get grouped. I think Turkey's gonna get grouped. My opinions have changed. Australia's won their game. The US has won their game. I thought the US was going to win the first two games and then lose to Turkey at the end. I don't think that's happening anymore. I think the US is going to beat Turkey. And I think, ooh, you don't want to see that yet. Let's move this back. No spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers. And I think, I think USA, Australia, and then Enciso's back. So I think Turkey is going to pull a Euro 2020. Was it Euro 2020? I'm just going Euro 2020. It was in 2021. I think, I think that Turkey's going to pull a Euro 2020, and I think they might not win a damn game in this group. Let's just move this out of the way. Okay. Let's move on, I guess, to group. It's already here, so let's just do it. Group H. Kind of out of order, but this is my channel, so blow me. It won't be like this all the time. It won't. I promise. So with Group H, I've always believed in Cabo Verde. I have them going out of the group. I have them, going to the knockout stages. They won't go far, but I have them making it to the knockout stages. I'm still very bullish. I don't think it's going to happen. I 100% think it's going to happen. And the thing with Uruguay is that I always knew that they were bad, but I thought that they were going to beat Saudi Arabia because El Renard got sacked just a few weeks before the tournament. So it's like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And Saudi football has, maybe their national team is actually, degraded since the last World Cup. So I thought Uruguay can't be bad enough to where they can't beat these guys. They are just that bad. It is that bad. They are that bad. I think Uruguay might get grouped. I think Spain and Cabo Verde are going to make it out of this group, and nobody else. That's truly what I think now. We'll talk to Group L. It's not the Group L yet. Let's go to Group G. Let me just move this around. Have some patience on me. It's my first video ever. Okay, Group G. Nothing has really changed except that Iran's a lot worse than I thought they were. And now I think Belgium and Egypt are going to be the only two teams to make it out of this group. I think Belgium is going to beat both Iran and New Zealand, and Egypt is going to beat New Zealand and take a draw with Iran, and I think Iran's going to get eliminated now with simply 2 points. Man, I really should have just done a different one. Jesus. Either way, nothing changes in the grand scheme of things. So let's move to Group F. Yeah, I really should have just done it differently. Let's see. Overall, I think with this group, nothing has actually changed all that much for me. I think Japan's still going to win the group. I had them beating the Dutch in a shootout. It was a draw. Japan was never really ahead at any point. They were a lot more passive, and then they woke up and then they started playing well. It's like, well, okay, well, if you can do that, just do that. I think they're going to win the group. Initially, well, let's just keep these predictions as is. I'll talk about things later. But let's just talk about it now. Actually, I think if nothing changes, spoiler alert, what's going to happen in the round of 32 is if they get Morocco, I think they're out. But if they get Brazil, initially I also thought that they were out. They still might be out, but they'll be out if Brazil uses Endrick. If Endrick is used by Ancelotti, then Brazil will knock them out. If Neymar, I don't know if he's going to play this World Cup at all. I think he's a lot more injured than Santos was letting on. And then he's letting on, that everyone's letting on. I think he's not playing a single minute in this World Cup. Either way, if Endrick is used by Brazil, I think Japan's out. So, honestly, their biggest win condition might actually to finish third. Weirdly enough. A Group E. Now, this group has changed. I had Germany winning it with 9 points. Cote d'Ivoire and Ecuador, tying their game a boring 0-0. I had it a boring 0-0. It was almost a 0-0, but it wasn't a boring 0-0. And Germany sacrificing Curaçao, and all of that almost happened. Overall, I think Cote d'Ivoire is going to my Cote d'Ivoire might win this group. Cote d'Ivoire might win this group. I think, man, I think Curaçao is just too bad for Ecuador, so they're probably gonna get 3 points. But I think they're going to lose to Germany. I really, truly think they're going to lose to Germany, and I think will 3 points be enough? They don't have a good offense, and depends on how badly Germany does or doesn't beat them. But they're gonna go match day 3. So maybe Germany won't even try if they beat, Ivory Coast. It's like, okay, cool, we're through. It depends. I think this is probably still going to be what happens. Yeah. So Group I. So Group I was always a group I had actually quite, you know, people talked about how this would be terrible for France, but I think in this World Cup method, where a third place team can get out, I think there was really never any danger. And I always thought that this group was actually really nice for France. No spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers. No spoilers. I always thought that this group was always going to be really nice for France because they would come out of this group knowing exactly where they stood. They have a top 10 team in Senegal. They had a top 15-ish team in Norway, and they had themselves, and they had a bad team in Iraq that they could stat pad in. So I never thought that France could go out. This is just the way it is. I'm actually starting to come around the 64 team World Cup with keep them around the 32. I think it's a good nice addition, but I think 2 teams per group is the best. But that's a topic for later. Um, I had France beating Senegal 2-1. I had Norway crucifying Iraq. That didn't happen. Iraq. I didn't really watch the game all that much at all, actually. But it seems like Iraq really put the pause on Norway's defense. Norway's defense and their goalie was always super suspect. And I always thought that they would never go that far. All these people thought that were that much. They're not better than Senegal. They're not better. They're not winning AFCON ever. Their defense is just not good enough, and I think that their offense can be stifled through their defense. Antonio Nusa is really kind of, you know what I mean. I always thought, and Odegaard shies away from the ball at key moments, so I always thought that their offense would eventually fail. They're gonna when they get knocked out, they're not going to score a goal. That's what I'm trying to say here. Let's move it back. We didn't see anything. So, Group J. Now, this is the one I kind of had a bit of a what's going to happen here. Like, I wasn't completely certain on what would happen in this group. Group J with Austria and Argentina. In this group, I always thought that Argentina plays exactly how they played. They play a 4-4-2 mid block. If Julian isn't a striker, there's no pressure from offense. Messi's not gonna give any pressure. So I think a team that has honestly, in a weird way, they're trying to usher you to the wings so they could then impact the press. It's actually kind of how Morocco did their thing in 2022, where they would not press at all, let teams come to them, and then once they hit something, boom, their wingers would press. And Argentina's wingers are basically, they're midfielders. They've got no true wide threat. Their offense is essentially give Messi the ball, which is fine. It's international football. You can actually win with that. But I think that midfield isn't good. There's not enough pressure, except in key moments where the ball's super high and they're all high up and they'll do some pressing. It's actually kind of effective, but again, this is after the Algeria game. Algeria is bad. I always had Argentina beating them up 3-1. It was almost 3-1, 3-0. This is a bit late because he's already done it, but my thought was that in this World Cup, Messi would become the all-time top scorer, and then Mbappe would take that record. And I thought Messi was going to score 3 goals across the group. He scored all 3 in one game. Okay, then. I think they're going to both become the outright top scorers. I think, well, you'll find out. I think Mbappe will eventually become the sole king. I think France is going to do some terrible things to Iraq. But that's for later. Argentina plays exactly how I think they play. Back again to that. So which means it's like, I think they could be in a lot of trouble. They're going to be in a lot of trouble. I want to see, against, the best four, which is, Argentina, England, France, and Spain. I think This. I think they're the worst of the top four, and I think a team with a competent midfield can and will dispatch of them. And maybe Spain's going to beat Argentina. If they run to them, it's going to be very ugly. Spain's going to run through Argentina. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Um, Either way, Group K. Now this one, I'm actually not even late for. I am quite on time. I'm quite on time for this one. You have this one. I think this what's going to happen is this essentially. Maybe Colombia slip up, give one of these guys a point. The wish casting is DR Congo because I don't think they're going to win. I think Uzbekistan and DR Congo are going to draw against each other, and they're both going to be eliminated. So you have Group L now, England's group. You have England's group. I think more or less this is what's going to happen. Um, Nothing really changes. And so now we go to the knockout stages. We go to the knockout stages. I'm pretty sure you can already see what I'm trying to say here, but let me just get through it. Okay. So in the round of 32, this in a weird way could still happen. Germany, Paraguay. Yeah, this could still happen. I think a big part of this is that. Let me move this around a little bit. Okay. Is this not showing? Let me see. There we go. There we go. Overall, I think this is what's going to happen. If I was going to say, I think, Spain, Argentina not winning their group is definitely my biggest hot take. I think because this World Cup is set up for the seeded teams to be on the outside of the bracket, so Spain, France is going to be one semi, and England, Argentina will be the other. Is kind of what FIFA is trying to hope for. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that's not only is that not going to happen. I think one of those teams will not win their group, and I think if one of them isn't going to win their group, it's going to be Argentina. Maybe, maybe. Um, so yeah, I mean it's all right here. Germany's gonna beat Paraguay, France is gonna beat Sweden, Czech is going to beat Bosnia, Japan's going to lose to Morocco, Colombia is going to lose to Croatia, Spain's going to beat Argentina, Turkey. Spain is really. I think it's gonna be not a pretty match. Canada's going to beat Turkey. This is my biggest change. Not only are they going to beat Turkey, Cabo Verde might knock out Belgium. Belgium might not win their group. This is like might not happen. So either way, let me just go on fully on this side because you guys can see it. Basically, there's no point in trying to hide. I think Morocco is going to go to the quarterfinals, and Belgium's bracket is so easy that a quarterfinal is essentially like just a cupcake path. And even then, I still don't think Belgium is going to do it anymore. After the whole Egypt thing, I don't think Belgium are going to do it anymore. But nothing changes. France is going to knock out Morocco in the quarterfinals, and then they're going to succumb to Spain in the semis. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams are going to come back, and I think people talk about France's depth and this and that and this and that, and I always thought that that's nice, but you're talking about the offense. France's fullbacks are really bad. Their midfield is just essentially get the ball to the attackers. Don't do this, and have them play. Mbappe looks. I have my opinions on the guy. I think against a good team, he's not going to be able to walk out of it with a couple goals. But most importantly, is France's midfield couldn't progress the ball through to their attackers through Senegal's midfield. Senegal's midfield was able to stop that from happening to the point where Michael Olise was essentially playing as a six, coming to pick up the ball from the center backs. And it's like, if Senegal's midfield is no joke, but it's not one of the best. And if that midfield can stop you from doing what you want to do, I think France is in a lot of trouble. Their fullbacks, suspect. If Nico Jackson and Sarr were serious players, they lose that game today. But yeah, I think France is in a lot of trouble. You've already seen the winner. You know what I mean? Let's just get this done. So on this side of the bracket, I have. Let me move this around. Okay, so nothing has fully changed. I always have Brazil getting eliminated in the round of 32. by the first European. I think they're going to get eliminated by the Dutch. I don't think Brazil's going to win their group. I think they're going to get eliminated by the Dutch. Shout out to Ivory Coast. This might not happen. This Ivory Coast game, this could be Germany. And they could win their group. I don't think they will, but they could. But they'll be taken out by Senegal, who will be taken out by the Dutch. I have Mexico winning their group, so they get Scotland probably. They're going to be taking. Mexico's going to beat Scotland, obviously, but it's not fair because they're going to get England and be promptly eliminated. And then, let's see. Yeah, England's going to take out Norway. Norway's not a good team. The last good team that Norway have faced was Denmark in 2024 or 5 in the Nations League, and they got smacked. I've never bought into the Norway hype. I think it's completely nonsensical. They've beaten no good teams. If you think that, what good team have they beaten? One good team that they've beaten, and I'll shut up forever. Overall, initially this US-Iran game is no longer going to be happening because US are going to win their group, so it's going to be Australia probably. Even then, even way, it doesn't really matter because the US's hard ceiling was always going to be, well, if they win their group, they could be getting Canada. And I think they would be Canada. They would be Canada. They could be Belgium. But, hard quarterfinal. If things can keep playing out the way they're playing out in real life. But even in this one, I always had them getting knocked out. Round of 16 quarterfinals is the ceiling for the US. And that's no shame in that. No shame in that. Switzerland, Egypt. I think that's still going to happen. Portugal, Ecuador. It's going to happen. Portugal, Ecuador is... Initially, I thought it was going to be a harder task than it ended up being. Now, Portugal don't have Namad Diallo or Yan Diamande to cause chaos in the midfield, on the wings. Sorry. But I still think Ecuador's defense was a lot more suspect than the South American, the CONMEBOL fans would have had you believe. And I always had Portugal win this game. But now I think it's going to be a lot easier. Initially, I had to go into extra time, but it's going to be a lot easier now. Portugal's going to beat Switzerland because Portugal always beats Switzerland. Now here's the separation point because initially it was. Let me move this around for a second. Is this the right one? I don't think it is. Let's see. Where's the other one? Let's see. Is this one? Is it the same one? Oh, no way. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Oh, no. No, it is. Okay, well, look. The big difference was that. Poo. Either way, look. The big difference was that Argentina was going to win the group against Austria. And through that, they were going to face Portugal in the quarterfinals and then be knocked out. That's what I always thought was going to happen. I never had any doubt about that. Oh, no, I messed it up. Either way, this is going to be Argentina, Portugal, and then they were going to get knocked out. I always had a Portugal-England semi with Portugal winning because I think Portugal's midfield. Portugal really struggles with teams that have big, strong center backs because Ronaldo just can't handle that, and really lightning fast wingers, which pin their fullbacks back, which really their source of chance creation. And Portugal should be playing a 4-4-2 diamond, I think, because that midfield. People talk about that midfield of Vitinha, Bruno, and João Neves as being an amazing midfield. It's like, no, it's not because it's incomplete. They need Ruben Neves or Samuel, somebody. It's a defensive midfielder. Put Jean Pauline in there. Doesn't matter. And ideally, Ronaldo will be playing with Gonzalo Ramos as a tool striker because Ronaldo needs to play with the striker to get the best out of him. That's not going to happen. None of that's going to happen. But I still think Portugal will get to the final because I think their path is favorable. And most importantly, Argentina. And here's the big thing about those games. These CONMEBOL games are home games. Like, CONMEBOL teams are playing home games throughout the entire tournament. So it gets a bit interesting. I think I saw Argentina's midfield. I know what I saw today. I think they can't handle Portugal's midfield. I think they just can't. Though it'll be a home game, and trust me, the Argentine fans know exactly what this means. So if you were to give me these two teams and you just give me their attributes, without this being Portugal, without this being Argentina, I would say it's a 70-30 Portugal. But because of the human aspect of it, 55% chance for Portugal now. And I have Spain winning. However, that's only because I'm not confident enough in myself to say that Portugal is going to beat them again. But I think Spain is going to make it to the final. And I think Portugal is going to go pretty far. I think it's going to be an all UEFA semifinals. If there's a couple of inflection points, is definitely the Portugal Argentina game. I think Portugal could lose that game because of 45%. You know what I mean? Argentina nick a goal in the 60th minute or whatever. Something, it just happens. Portugal has a pretty bad habit of giving up the ball in midfield. Like, it's too much. They get hit with the counter. Messi hits us, a goal, or Messi scores a free kick or something. Something happens. But that's probably the biggest inflection point. There's no way in heaven and earth that France will ever, ever, ever lose. Will ever beat Spain. Because that midfield is not going to work. And France is basically playing all their games in non-air conditioned stadiums. So the fatigue is going to hit them a lot harder than it's going to hit. They're playing like the hot. If you just like a stat out there, you can go find it. But France are playing the hottest games in this World Cup, and Spain is going to be playing one of the coolest games. They have air conditioned stadiums. They're going to be fine. They keep the ball. They keep possession. The midfield won't be ran ragged. And I think France is just they cannot and will not beat Spain because Didier Deschamps is also just not that guy. So it's bad out there. I think the French are down bad. Ideally, Portugal wins this. The GOAT gets his World Cup trophy. But yeah, I think this is it. Well, this has been my first video. It's kind of a mess. Sorry. But come on. It'll get better. It'll get better. And follow me for some, ball knowledge and just general knowledge takes. I don't know. Bye.